Kevin. Hey, everybody. Welcome to my booth. Forgot you need a microphone near your face to talk into it. I'm Jay, and we're about to take a listen to Erika. This is round number 2 for Erika, which you can do as well if you're a booth buddy. You can check that out down below. And if either way, if you want feedback like this, there's a form in the description. There's coaching on my website. Check them out. Feedback here is free. Website, you get it faster, but, I'm tired. I don't know what to tell you. It's almost the end of the year. We're almost there, team. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Wow, look at us go. This is when you see the true colors shining through, when you just start yelling because you're fatigued and burnt out. Oh, Erika saved me from myself. We're listening for just general audiobook feedback. It's a great performance. Any tips there? She's working on the pauses in between spaces, so we'll listen to how those are being utilized. Spoiler alert, I like it. And then any other tips that come up. Let's go.
Sabine Ashbourne vanished on a warm July night with no shoes, no phone, and no goodbye. The last anyone saw of her was at the edge of the woods, barefoot and laughing like the world couldn't touch her. But something did. And whatever it was, it left no trace. 10 years later, the house still smelled like rain and old grief. Lucia Ashbourne stood at the edge of the porch, the same porch Sabine had vanished from a decade earlier, holding the same brass key their mother used to keep in the junk drawer beside the scissors and half-dead batteries. The town hadn't changed, not really. The people still stared like they knew something she didn't. The woods still whispered at night. And the house, her house now, waited, quiet and heavy with secrets.
Yeah. Of course it did. Of course it waited heavy with secrets. Great. Love it. Pauses, killer. I was thinking about, so let me talk about that before I get too out of my mind. This last section here I loved. And part of what I was about to say, because as I was listening to this front bit, I was like, man, I wish XYZ would happen. And then you kind of did it here at the end. That thing that I was going to recommend. Let's listen to this a little bit one more time.
The woods still whispered at night. And the house, her house now, waited, quiet and heavy with secrets.
Maybe I'm wrong. It sounds like there's a comma here and a comma here and maybe another comma here. I could be wrong, but the thing that I was thinking, and the thing that I think that this little section does successfully, whether or not there are commas, though if there are commas, anyway, what I was thinking about these earlier bits is it sounds to me a little bit like you're binding yourself to the punctuation to a degree, which is fine. Your performance here is great overall. But one thing that I personally adhere to and enjoy, because this is one of the crucial differences between spoken language and written language, which is the space that we live in as audiobook narrators in particular, because we are narrating the written word. We are literally reading the page, and we have an obligation to the written word, but we also have to make it live in a space with the spoken word. And the narrators and performances that I admire and the things that I am inclined to personally and in general are ones where we're successful in bridging that gap, where we can both honor the written word and make it sound like spoken word. Now, what are the key differences between those things, in my view? The written word has punctuation and grammatical allegiances, like things are structured in a way that is visual, whereas the spoken word doesn't have that. There's no structure in spoken word. I follow things, and you may have heard me, if you've been here on this channel for a while, you may have heard me talk about this, but I operate in terms of, or I like to think in terms of thought chunks when I'm reading words on the page. Of course, I think in thought chunks in my brain, but on the written page, thoughts can bridge across sentences or bridge over punctuation points. We flow in terms of thoughts and ideas. And that's the difference between the written word and the spoken word. So in terms of your narration here, Erika, one thing that I'm curious about is if we just say, forget the punctuation and we cruise by it a little bit. So let's listen to one example section and see if we can come up with an alternative reading. This isn't a line reading and it's not necessarily better. It's just another option for you.
The last anyone saw of her was at the edge of the woods, barefoot and laughing like the world couldn't touch her.
So the flow of that is fairly natural in general.
The last anyone saw of her was at the edge of the woods, barefoot and laughing like the world couldn't touch her. But something did.
That's not a great
Lucia
example.
Ashbourne stood at the edge of the porch, the same porch Sabine had vanished from a decade earlier, holding the same brass key their mother used to keep in the junk drawer beside the scissors and half-dead batteries.
So she stood on the porch, the same porch that this person vanished from, holding the same key that her mother did all this stuff for. Gosh, I'm not really coming up with good examples here because your narration is so solid overall. But let's try this
10
one.
years later, the house still smelled like rain and old grief. And whatever it was.
So this is one where you could go either way because you're stringing it all together. 10 years later, the house still smelled like rain and old grief. So that's kind of the inverse example. That's not usually what I come up with, but right there you've got the whole thought lined up. 10 years later, the house still smelled of rain and old grief. If I'm thinking through that as I'm speaking it, this can be partially an interesting characterization idea for the narrator's voice here. But if it's an older person telling a story, maybe they have to take their time to recall something like that. Or if it's something that happened years ago, if it's something difficult to remember, you can, as I am now naturally, take time to think of specific words. And you don't want to manufacture this, but 10 years later, the house still smelled of rain and old grief. That way, it lets the and old grief really punch to the top there. And that's something that may not be reflected in the written word. And that's something that you can make an elective decision for if it suits the performance and you wouldn't want to do that all the time. But all I'm saying with this whole rigmarole is don't feel obligated to the punctuation necessarily. So either in that case, if you find it helpful to divide a thought chunk up like that, where 10 years ago or 10 years later, the house still smelled of rain and old grief, we could say 10 years later, the house still smelled of rain and old grief. You can break it up however you want, but the idea is that you have an organic sort of discovering in the moment of those things rather than just presenting the thing. So that would be chopping it up. And then by contrast, you can blow through things.
And whatever it was, it left no trace. But something did.
But something did. And whatever it was left no trace. So there I'm kind of bridging the gap by jumping from, and again, these aren't necessarily the right way to do it, just options, but something did. And so in that, I'm not letting people catch up to me or get ahead of me. I don't know. That's not a great example, but hopefully you know what I mean. Anyway, enough of that chatting on that subject, but I love that subject, so great. Let's talk about the pauses in general. I think that in terms of duration here and how you're utilizing them for suspense, for breaks between things, this one's a great one. But something did is a great thing to leave negative space around because it lets that really sit and have sort of its own moment. Similarly, this last section where it's chopped up and different ideas are presented sort of in a cascade with space in between. And for everybody listening to this or picking up on it, The crucial thing here as to why these pauses work kind of goes back to my earlier idea about thought chunks, is these pauses aren't just there. They're not existing just to exist. It's not like, oh, I think the pause would be beneficial here. The pause is built. It contains things. It's a pregnant pause. It has life to it. So with this one, the phrasing
Was at the
is,
edge of the woods, barefoot, and laughing like the world couldn't touch her. But something did.
so she was laughing like the world couldn't touch her. And we're left with that. And that sort of distance for like, are they going to speak, fills us with this sort of anticipation. There's a suspense built, but something did. Like the world couldn't touch her, but something did. So that's a really good use of that pause because it's filled with something. So as long as the pause is and breath too, it's the same thing. As long as the pause or the breath is informed by or is informing the story and is motivated by all of that stuff, then it's great and you can't go wrong. But if you're just doing it to do it, then you're in trouble. And so, Eric, I think you're pulling that off well. Lastly, with respect to your sound, because you mentioned that somebody said that it's boomy. I don't think that it's particularly boomy. The KSM 32 is treating you well, my friend. Good choice.
Sabine Ashbourne vanished on a warm July night with no shoes.
So there could be just like a little bit of a resonance going on. So if we were to get this EQage going on, let's give this guy a little check here, and we'll turn this loop.
Sabine Ashbourne vanished on a warm July night with no shoes. Sabine Ashbourne vanished on a warm July night with no shoes. Sabine Ashbourne
So I've got just like two subtle dips there. This is very bootstrap ramshackle, but at 200 hertz, we've got a little bit of a dip, and about 450, we've got another little bit of a dip. That's pretty standard for small recording spaces to have a little bit of a resonance build up in those areas specifically. It doesn't bother me right now what your sound is, but if you want to fiddle with it, those are things that you could mess around with. I will say, however, regarding your sound quality, I do hear a bit of reflection going on.
Lucia Ashbourne stood at the edge of the porch, the same porch.
Again, it's not enough for me to freak out about, but it does sound, I can hear the room around you a little bit. For folks listening and trying to hear it for yourself, you'll probably need headphones, to be honest, because it's pretty subtle.
Lucia Ashbourne stood at the edge of the porch, the same porch Sabine had vanished from a
And that reflection, Erika, could be any number of things. It could be just that your desk in front of you or the computer monitor is there. Anyway, it could be any number of things, but it doesn't bother me a ton, but that may also help a little bit with your resonant frequencies if you're so inclined to get really in the weeds. But otherwise, great job. Great job. Thanks for sending this along. So glad to hear that you're doing so well. And for everybody else out there, I hope this was helpful as well. Until the next one of these, I'll see you there. Happy Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you soon. Toodles.